Welcome to F101 with Friends, your pit stop for all things Formula One. Whether you're here for the stats, the memes, or just figuring out what a chicane is, we've got you covered. Buckle up, because the fun starts right now. Hi everyone, my name is Nisha, a newbie F1 girlie who is desperate to make more friends so that I can talk about this sport all the time. Each week, a new guest will join me on this journey, from seasoned F1 fans to other curious newcomers, and we will explore what it is about this million-dollar sport at gravity-defying speeds that we just can't stop watching. We'll try to break it all down in a way that's fun, relatable, and hopefully try to explain some of the tech talk. I cannot tell you how much I enjoy these breaks because it really helps me prepare for the triple header that we are approaching. But the thing is, I'm traveling, so the next few episodes will sound a bit different, but I felt like I have to do this for my 7 fans who are listening to this podcast. We will be in Europe for the next 3 races. That's Italy, Monaco, and Spain. And we are first heading to Imola. So for this episode, I have Anchita. Welcome to the show, Anchita.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So Anchita, first question. What got you into F1?
I am very proud to say actually it was not Drive to Survive,
Yes.
but it was more of the lore and the stories and the history. But honestly speaking, or what made me curious were the memes.
Yeah.
Instagram, I guess. Instagram spied on our friendship and was pushing all these memes on me, and some of them were just so good that I just wanted to be in on the joke, honestly. And that's what got me curious about it. Also, what kept it going was it's a $1 million sport with a very small town vibe, because most of them have raced each other since they were like half the height that they are.
Yeah.
And then the dating histories are so interesting. Sorry, but
Yes.
that's the 1 a.m. Rabbit holes that, oh my god, he dated her, and oh, but he also dated her. It's crazy. So yeah, that's what actually got me into F1.
I love that. And we are going to talk more about this later on. But I have to say that even though Anchita says that, I just got into it for the memes or whatever, she's very sincere about this sport, okay? She watches the races, she discusses, she theorizes. She has Max Verstappen as her screensaver.
That is true. That's the thing. You know what? The conversion for me didn't happen with football. It never happened with cricket.
Yeah.
I got interested in some of the rivalries. I saw some of the documentaries, but it never actually converted me into a fan of. I never actually started watching the sport itself.
Yeah.
But this is the first time I've been converted. I watch it.
I mean, my theory is that it's because it's a fewer number of people that you have to remember and follow.
That's true.
Like football, there's like 11 people on one team, right? So to sit and follow their individual lives and then the other teams as well is a lot. But when it's just 20 people, I get it.
I'm surrounded by people who support teams that are completely tanking, and I don't support a team. I support people.
Yes.
Like I'm not necessarily like a McLaren fan, but I love Oscar, so I'll support Oscar. I'm not a Red Bull fan, but I love Max. So yeah, and I don't think I have that for football, because I don't understand why people would support Man U, because it's clearly tanking. But I don't get it. But whatever.
Manchester United
that's why I
fans
think it
catching
works.
strays. So if you were at a dinner party with all of your favorite F1 drivers, what would you like to say to them?
Firstly, the dinner party, I think it would have Ricardo, it'll have Seb, it'll have Max, and I think it'll also have Oscar. I feel like Oscar will come early but also leave early. He's not about I feel the three of them will go like it'll be fun. I think Seb is quite cheeky.
Yes.
Daniel seems really fun. Drunk Max is a liability, but in the best way possible.
Yes, correct.
So, I think I have so many expectations. I would want to ask so many. I want it to be a night for Daniel. I want there to be some emo moments where there are heart to hearts. I want to ask him about what does he really think about Kristen Horner.
Oh my God.
You know, like, and I'm like, I'll be like, bro, it's between us. Don't worry about it. And also, I would love to see his playlist. I want to know if he uses Spotify or Apple Music. He brags so much about him being a music snob. I want to know.
That's true.
I want to know what he listens to. And I feel like at some point, Drunk Max will be like, hey, we should totally call Lando, and maybe Lando will turn up. And
Yeah.
that'll be hilarious. So I think I just want to know. There's so much I want to know from Daniel. I don't think DTS really like this. It's just so sad, and
I know.
I don't know. There's so much to know, so I think it'll be more about Daniel. It'll be fun.
Nice. So it's like Daniel is the main person that you want to speak to, and everyone's just there to give you supporting stories about Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel so. I feel so sad. It's one of the most. It's a very tragic,
I know,
very
right?
sad
Yeah.
end to a career with so much promise. I just feel really bad.
But that is the sport, honestly. That is just how it is with F1. With someone with so much promise, just like you can see their dreams just being taken away from them. And we see that a lot, like Jack Doohan for that
Yeah.
matter, right? 5 races and he's been replaced by Franco Colapinto. And now the thing is, I also feel like, okay, Franco also deserves a chance. I get it. I see that, grit and like passion in him. But at the same time, I feel bad for Jack Doohan because he didn't even get a chance to prove himself.
Yeah, kind of like what Red Bull did, or what Red Bull does. Drive to Survive really makes you not like people.
Yeah, that's a problem I have with that. Like the villain edits, right? It's very
Yeah.
unfair, especially to like the way when you see the Max and Daniel seasons and you're like, oh my God, they hated each other. But then you see the memes, which is what you did, and then you realize, no, they didn't. They are such good friends.
Yeah, also, I don't think I felt this sorry about Daniel till I saw Drive to Survive. Like, it was such a sad arc.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that bad for Daniel because I know it's a ruthless sport anyway. Also, Max gave me such Victor Crumb vibes in the beginning.
Oh my
like, just
God.
very like,
Yes.
the way
is
he
true.
looks. And I was like, I get why people hated Max, because I didn't hate Max at all actually, and I saw Drive to Survive and I'm like, yeah, I get why people hate him.
Plus, also, like, it's not just that Max got the villain edit, but they also gave Lewis a not just hero, some god level edit, right?
That is true.
Like, one of the things that it keeps coming up is in 2021 when they crashed in Silverstone and Max got that 50G crash, right? Okay, fine, you can debate about whose fault it was, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But in Drive to Survive, they show it as the crash happens and then Lewis is immediately like, oh, is he okay? But apparently, in reality, it took him like 3 laps to be like, is Max okay? So I'm not saying everyone is perfect and someone is a villain, but everyone has that ruthless competitor and really, really ruthless competitor in them.
No, you're right. You know what? I realized something before I actually started watching it, and I was just totally dependent on reading up or watching, doing my own research or whatever. There were people who had such strong opinions. Like a friend of mine was like, "Oh, I don't like Seb. He was not a good teammate." And here I am watching reels where he's all buddy with Kimi. And I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? What is this guy talking about? And then I watched Drive to Survive. I'm like, oh, with Charles. Oh, I didn't know this part of whatever it was. And yeah,
Right.
but But then everybody has had their stint of being a not good teammate.
Of course. And Seb wasn't a great teammate to Mark Webber either.
Sorry, who? Oh,
Mark
yes.
Webber,
Oh,
when he was in his
yes.
Red Bull days.
Okay. I know him as Piastri's manager. But
Yes, Piastri's manager.
But
yes, exactly. But like at the same time, Michael Schumacher wasn't a great teammate. Michael Schumacher was a nice to Nico Rosberg, even like after his glory days in Ferrari, right? This is a chance to be a different person.
I know.
And he was like, no, man, I'm still Michael Schumacher.
They're pretty horrible people, is what I would want to say. I feel like the current grid manages a lot because some of the older stories are wild. Like,
Yeah.
I think they know how to manage the optics, and I don't think Max cares about his teammate.
Yeah, I don't think he cares.
Yeah, he has his opinions. He doesn't care about, like, he doesn't like the media part of it. He doesn't like, I mean, he's got his run-ins with the FIA. So his enemies are external. He doesn't really care about his teammate. I think he's had an okay relationship with all of them, or good relationship with all of them.
That's true.
Yeah, the current grid manages the optics so much better, but the older stories are just wild. Like Alonso, you weirdo.
My God. Yes. Esteban Ocon also to a large extent.
Oh my God, yes. As Drive to Survive calls it, the French Civil War when Esteban and Gasly were together. It's like
Civil War.
It's crazy. It's just
Yeah.
I think the older stories are just so much worse. They didn't really care about anything.
Yeah, they didn't. And honestly, like at that point, they're like risking their lives. The safety was never as high as it is right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is true. But also they didn't have like social media and stuff like that to put that extra pressure on them. So actually, we're gonna get into a lot of this towards the end.
Yes.
I'm gonna let's talk about Miami. Right? That was the last race that just happened. What were your highlights? What were your top lowlights?
My highlights was the whole back and forth with Oscar and Max.
Yes.
And you almost feel like Max is not going to let him have it. But Oscar he's so smart. Like, he's such a smart kid.
Yes.
I mean, and you see that, I'm sorry, again, because I didn't start by watching the races first. Even when you see him in his interviews or one of those stupid games that the media, their marketing team make, he's a smart kid. He really is a smart kid.
He is very smart.
And you see that even as a driver. So I think that was my highlight, and well, my lowlight was just the difference between like Russell and the McLarens. It was like a lifetime. Like,
my God,
they could have had a couple of pit stops. They could have, I don't know, gone for a smoke if they do that. They could have done anything. Like, they could have had like 30 or 32 seconds. You can have a whole life and like have kids, and you can live 2 lifetimes of it. And it was insane. It was after a point, you're like, you could just put it on mute, go about your business, come back, and it would still be the same. So that was sort of my...
So you're saying that now because you haven't seen 2023?
No, I
like
have
Max Verstappen? Because Max was ahead of everyone. 30 seconds every race. It was insane. He was lapping the person in P2. Like, he was that fast. And I don't know what happened, where that car went. And of course, Max was amazing at handling that car.
He's killing it.
But yeah, he would be P1 like at every race, and he would just be on it. Like, the race would start and he's already flying.
Wow.
So yeah, it was quite a year. So highlights for me, yes, of course, I loved Piastri versus Verstappen. That was amazing. I loved his absolute failure attempt at doing the griddy after winning.
But he kept his word. That's what I loved about that.
Know.
He was so sincere, because it was just a bit that they had to do, but he was like, you know what, if I win it, I'm going to do it. And he did it. He did it.
I know. He should have
Yeah.
practiced. He should have
Yeah.
believed in himself that he's going to win and practiced it.
I know, but he's what a darling. That's what.
I know.
Bless his heart is what he's so nice. How can you not like him? Yeah, yeah. Anyway, yeah.
True. My other highlight, which was Lewis Hamilton versus Ferrari. He's
Oh
getting
my.
the full Ferrari experience.
Oh my.
I was just like, oh my god. Are these people getting British humor? I don't understand. He was so sarcastic.
So much
Oh
to
my
unpack. So much. The lines were amazing.
Yes.
And it was, and I told this to you, it was so amazing to see him be that person on Sunday
Yep.
and then see him at the Met like
Yeah.
like an angel in white. I was like, wow, yes, I'm guessing that you just needed that one day. It was crazy because he was losing his mind on Sunday and then he was that person. Yeah,
I know.
that's my highlight too. That was so fun.
Like those words, I just outwardly laughed because he was like, oh, we should swap the cars. And then, as per usual, Ferrari said, we are checking. And then
Yeah.
3 laps later, when Lewis had completely destroyed his tires, they were like, okay, now we'll swap. And you
Yeah.
could hear him go, yes, great, have a tea break while you're at it. I was like, oh my god.
Sometimes Ferrari gives me the vibe of like a Lala company. You know?
Yes.
You know where
Yes.
where the MD is like now, Khanna Saab ka beta is the MD now. You know, and like
Yes.
everything is like slow and like ho jayega, kar lenge, let's have chai. It gives me such a vibe of like being a
Yeah.
Lala company sometimes, and
It really is.
That-
And I do believe that's the problem because there was this, and I've mentioned this once before, I think in the Ferrari episode that we had done with Ashwati. There's a podcast with Bernie Collins, who's one of the Sky Sports commentators, and
Right.
she said that she used to be a strategist for Racing Point.
okay.
And yeah, and she was like, and she had no idea how to do it because she was a performance engineer before that. But they were just like, whatever, you'll figure it out. And because it was such a small team, she would just make decisions and no one would question. They would just go with it. And she herself has said, not everything is right. But out of all like 10 decisions, 3 will be wrong and that's fine. Right? But in Ferrari, to make one decision, like some 3 people have to approve it.
Oh.
And with the cars, with how tight the grid is, there is no time to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is quite a, and like it's come so bad that I don't know why the car is bad because it was fine last
Yeah.
year. They were supposed to bring upgrades to Imola, which is not happening, which is strange. And we'll get to that when we talk about
Right.
Imola. And the car is not doing good. They're not happy with the strategy. Williams is beating Ferrari, which is insane. Like, and I saw this YouTube thing where basically they were rating the driver cards and stuff. Did you see that one with
No.
like EA Sports brings out the driver cards,
No.
which with their top trump cards essentially.
Oh, okay. Oh, EA
Yeah, yeah,
Sports.
yeah. So
Yes,
all
of course
those-
they would do that. Sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Sure.
So they have those like trump cards
Right.
for each of the drivers.
Right.
Carlos Sainz is higher rated than Lewis Hamilton.
Oh, that's the rating. Because I kept seeing these
Yes.
videos, and they're like, "Oh, you're higher rated than him. He's like 89 or something. Lewis is 89 and
Yeah,
he's 9."
yeah.
Yeah, and then Alex made. Oh, that is. I don't know what
Yes.
that rating was. Okay, makes sense. Oh,
So
okay.
that's the context to that. And like I don't know what is happening. I'm sure even they are not very happy
Right.
with that situation. But I'm hoping that by the second half that they will figure things out
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they usually do. By the second half, suddenly Ferrari realizes that they are not here to just mess about. So
Gotcha.
let's hope for that.
Yeah.
Just one, like actually two lowlights for me, and both of them are Red Bull related.
Mm-hmm.
One is Lawson being an absolute menace to everybody. He's going after Doohan, Alonso. He's just ruining his own race. I don't know what is going on, what job security he thinks he has.
Yeah.
it's insane that he is not even able to get to grips with the not peaky Red Bull.
Yeah,
It's very sad.
it is.
And the second one, of course, Red Bull in itself, because Miami was a sprint weekend,
Yeah,
right? And they messed up that pit stop for Max Verstappen.
yeah.
It was so bad. An unsafe release right into Kimi Antonelli.
I know.
Ruining his race, ruining Max's race. It was the first time in any kind of race format that Max hadn't scored any points, but his teammate had. That's Yuki. It's good for him, but like,
Yeah, sad.
it just doesn't make sense. So those are the things that are annoying me with with Miami so far. But we should head on over to Imola because it's been 20 minutes
Oh, wow.
and we haven't spoken about the upcoming race.
Yes.
We are heading to Imola, one of the most iconic anti-clockwise old school circuits on the calendar. It's officially named, and I'm going to do a bad Italian accent, Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Idino Ferrari.
Oh, I'll have one of those. Thanks. Sorry.
So this track is like pure heritage, right? The Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix at Imola isn't just another race, it's a whole vibe. It's got this like gladiator energy to it. There's no glitter, there's no glam, it's just raw racing on a track that's been around since the 80s. So, some quick facts about this race. The first race was held in 1980. It was initially the Italian GP, but I think Monza has that covered now. Drivers will do 63 laps around this 4.909 kilometer circuit with 19 corners. The current lap record is a 1:15.484. It's held by Lewis Hamilton in 2020. Now, Imola is more than a race. It's pretty much like a pilgrimage for the Tifosi. The track was used to be owned by Ferrari for testing and development. So don't be surprised if you see like a sea of red. But this is also a home race for VCARB or AlphaTauri because their headquarters is just an hour away in Faenza. So I'm sure this will be a special one for Yuki as well because he's lived there for many, many years.
Right, and of course, how can you talk about Imola and not mention the Imola cat or formerly I don't know. I tried my best. It's the beloved paddock cat who became the unofficial mascot with his own paddock pass. He passed away in 2023 at the age of 16, but his legacy lives on.
Yeah, he's quite cute. I remember I think in 23 when the floods happened and Imola, the race got cancelled, everyone, nobody cared about anything else. They were just like, where is the cat? Is the cat okay? Please answer this question.
Dude.
And then, Imola GP had to put, photos of the cat and be like, he's fine, man.
Also, I was reading up about the cat and I was like, it's such an Indian thing where the cat got good fortune for some and bad fortune for the others. And I'm like, yes, just because it's a cat. Because it's a cat, it got good fortune for Hamilton but bad fortune for Vettel. I was like, yes, okay, they're not so different.
It's just anything.
It's...
But yes.
Yeah, it's not
so
hilarious.
You've seen a picture of the Imola racetrack, right?
Yes.
So how would you describe it?
As Ori had said once, it looks like a liver.
What? When did Ori say
He didn't talk about a liver. He basically said that, I like to live life or something, so I'm a liver.
Oh yeah, I'm a liver.
Sorry. It's, I'm all over the place. It's...
Yes.
Yeah. But yes, it looks like a liver.
It does actually. If you look at it from above, then yes, I know it's kind of gross, but it's quite accurate because it's got that uneven shape with that big rounded section on one side and a tighter lobe on the other, and it just sort of flows in a weird squishy loop.
Yeah, I mean it's the start finish straight runs right along the dividing line. Moving towards the left, from there the track dives into a bigger lobe with fast corners and tight curves that pushes the drivers early. Then it coils up and compresses near the middle, which is the juicy gallbladder zone, where things get a little awkward and tense. Finally, the track swings around the pointier side of the lobe, sweeping down to a few wide, flowing sections before dropping back down to the main straight.
Yeah, that works. So let's do like a sector breakdown. And I'm actually excited about this one because old school tracks tend to have a lot of iconic corner names, and Imola has plenty. So, sector 1 is turns 1 to 6. It's a fast 400-meter dash to turn 1. So, expect a lot of chaos and positions changing here. Imola doesn't ease you in, it throws you straight into Tamburello or turns 2, 3, 4, a fast flowing left chicane. It used to be a flat out before some tragic history led to safety changes, which we will talk about soon. Now, that section is tighter, but it's still quick and brutal. Drivers have to dance over the curbs to keep their speed up. Immediately after, you flick through Villeneuve chicane or turns 5 and 6. It's another left right combo where the cars get twitchy over the bumps. This whole opening sector is about rhythm, confidence, and commitment. If your car feels planted here, you're in good shape for the rest of the lap.
Then moving on to sector 2, which is turns 7 to 13, which is classic Imola, dramatic elevation, unforgiving corners, and major commitment. It kicks off with Tossa or turn 7, the tight uphill left hairpin where brave drivers lunge for overtakes. Then comes the Pirotella or turn 9, a fast downhill left that punishes hesitation. Then you dive into, well, again, the bile central, which is the gallbladder in our liver analogy.
Yes.
Turns 11 through 13 are a swooping left-right sequence with tricky braking and a blind entry that catches out even the best.
So that turn that you described, turn 11, 12, and 13,
Yeah.
is called.
Aqua Mineral.
You'll hear that a lot because some of those are like the classic corner names that people remember and the commentators talk about.
Sounds like water. It sounds like mineral water. Okay, that's cool. All right.
There is some connection there on that. I'm happy to verify this. And then we go into sector 3, which is turns 14 to 19. Imola wraps up with a deceptively difficult final sector. It begins with Variante Alta, which is a tight uphill chicane turning left, then right. The drivers face turn 14 and 15 with sky high curbs. You hit them wrong and you are launched into the air. Then comes Rivasa or turn 16 to 18. It's a double left that tempts you to brake late but punishes any overdriving. The first left sets the tone, but the second one, that's where the lap is made or lost. You need the perfect exit to carry that speed down the hill. Turn 19 is barely a kink, but it matters because it lines you up for the main straight and the only DRS shot. Clean exits, traction, and setup balance are everything for this track. So I know this is the point where I normally take you on a sensory hot lap, but since I'm traveling and I don't have access to all of the cool equipment that helps me edit this part, I'm just gonna go to my next question, which is Anchita, how do you feel? Are you excited about this race?
I am very excited about this race because just the history is so. It's very tragic also, but some really exciting races also. And just the trajectory of the track itself, of how it made a comeback, how, I don't know, it's so
Yeah.
special. So because of those things, yes, I'm very excited. There's so much history, there's so much bad history that's what it's kind of really morbid for me to be like, yeah, the terrible tragic history makes me really excited for it, but you know what I mean.
No, I do. But also, it's your first like European race.
It
And
is.
because F1 is essentially started off as a European sport, it does make a difference to see. And like, it'll be the first time that you see like the crazy Tifosi. Like,
Yeah.
they'll keep showing shots of that. There is just red everywhere. It's insane. Like, the Italian races, actually, any of the European races, they go hard, right?
Yeah, all of these drivers, there's Monaco and then there's also Imola and some of these tracks, some of these races, they're so highly regarded by these drivers, and it just
Yes.
makes me feel like, I mean, there's some there's some nice, fresh, new, updated tracks. Like, what's the big deal, guys? Like, are we like, I don't know. So I just want to see what the hype is all about, honestly.
And you're right, this place is steeped in history, right? Because Imola, it's one of those tracks that feels like Formula One because it's tucked away in Italy's Emilia Romagna region. It's one of those rare circuits that run counterclockwise. So let me set the scene here for Imola, right? Because this place isn't just home to a racetrack. It's right in the beating heart of Italian motorsport. And we're talking about a region packed with automotive royalty: Ferrari, Lamborghini, Maserati, racing bulls formerly called Minardi, Toro Rosso, AlphaTauri, whatever. There's so many of those names. Plus also Delara and Stangolini. So if you're a car nerd, this is your pilgrimage site, right? After World War II, the town of Imola was trying to rebuild its economy, and four local racing enthusiasts had a really bold idea. What if we build a permanent road circuit using some of the existing public roads? It was part passion project, part economic lifeline, and local car makers just jumped on board. In 1952, just 2 years into construction, Enzo Ferrari sent one of his cars to the circuit. Alberto Ascari, one of the legends of early F1, he did the honors with some demo laps. And this was the beginning of Imola's love affair with speed.
The track actually opened way back in 1953, but it didn't get a proper F1 race till 1980. Also, the first race, just found out, was Nelson Piquet won the first one in 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of. I don't like the guy. Sorry. But but yes, he did. Yes, sorry. Coming back to history. Okay, I'm gonna shut up about the gossip. But yes, when it filled in, it filled in for Monza and hosted Italian Grand Prix. That went so well that from 81 onwards, Imola got its own slot on the calendar, just under a different name because there was already an Italian GP. They called it the San Marino GP, even though San Marino isn't exactly next door. Technicalities.
Yes. Now, you can't talk about Imola without mentioning 1994. So, this weekend was one of the darkest in F1 history. Roland Ratzenberger lost his life during qualifying, and then the next day, Ayrton Senna, an absolute legend, died during the race. Both crashes happened at what were, at the time, insanely fast corners, Tamburello. After that, the sport changed forever. Cars got safer, tracks were redesigned, and Imola itself was reprofiled. So Tamburello and Villeneuve became chicanes, and the whole flow of the track shifted towards safety.
Imola stuck around until 2006, but it dropped off the calendar, citing that it was outdated. Well, it wasn't just about outdated curbs or aging grandstands. The real story is a mix of politics, money, and a little bit of small town drama, which I absolutely live for. Sorry. But anyway.
Yeah.
Then also, it's such an underdog story. It's amazing.
Right.
By the early 2000s, Imola was struggling to keep up with modern F1 world. Other circuits were pouring money into upgrades, installing high-tech paddocks, fancy hospitality suites, media centers, the whole showbiz package. And Imola, not so much. The facilities were aging, and while the track still had its magic, which I'm trying to watch, F1 was moving towards a glitzier, more profitable destiny.
And behind the scenes, the circuit was being run by a company called Sagis. And let's just say that things weren't running smoothly. They had taken out a big loan to renovate the track, but the repayments weren't happening. The town of Imola had co signed on that loan, and when Sagis defaulted, the local government had to step in. There were even legal threats and talks of police intervention to reclaim the circuit. So the race was quietly dropped, and after 26 years of hosting the San Marino Grand Prix, Imola was off the calendar.
And like any other amazing revenge story, it wasn't until 2020, thanks to the pandemic shaking up the schedule, that Imola got a second chance. It's like people revealing their revenge bodies after COVID. COVID turned the world and the F1 calendar completely upside down, with so many races getting cancelled. F1 turned to classic European circuits to fill the gaps. And just like that, Imola was back. The Emilia Romagna GP was born and started as a one off, became a fan favorite comeback.
As we were mentioning before, the 2023 race got cancelled because of devastating floods in the region when the river overflowed and basically drowned the circuit. AlphaTauri members, including Yuki Tsunoda, were present in the town helping with the relief efforts and all of the cleanup, and that just warms my heart. Now, Imola is not just a racetrack. It is where legacies are built, rivalries are born, and emotions run high. So let's rewind through some of the most iconic moments that this place has given us. Starting with 1989, Senna versus Prost, the Cold War begins. They were McLaren teammates, but barely. For this race, they had a pre race agreement that whoever was the first into turn one gets to keep the lead. And at the beginning, it was Prost who was number one. However, there was a red flag restart, and Senna broke the agreement, thinking that the red flag restart means earlier standings are not valid. Prost was furious, and that breach of trust lit the fuse on one of F1's fiercest rivalries. Imola was where the mind games really began. In fact, I think history repeated itself here last year with Lando and Oscar, which is what gave us the papaya rules.
Then we come to 1996, which was Schumacher's first pole for Ferrari. It was wet, wild, and pure magic. This was just his third race with Ferrari, and Schumacher pulled out a pole lap in the rain that left jaws on the floor. The car wasn't really ready, but he was, and it was a sign of things to come.
2003 was another important moment for Michael Schumacher. He took the victory at Imola just days after the sudden death of his mother. On the podium beside him, his younger brother, Ralph, who finished third. It was the first time that the siblings had shared a Formula One podium, and it was made even more powerful by the grief that they were carrying with them.
That is so emotional. Sorry.
I know.
That is so. I need to see that. I'm sure there's something on it. I need to see this race. That sounds great.
They're so solemn on the podium, just like holding each other and like.
That is so sweet.
It's beautiful to see.
I will.
Yeah.
But well, yes, emotional. But then we come to 2005 with my favorite weirdo uncle, Alonso. Alonso versus Schumacher. What a masterclass! It was like shifting of the guard, or sort of, because I think Schumacher left in 2000. Right? It was kind of like that in Big Deal. For 12 laps, it was pure tension. Alonso defended like a lion, lap after lap, with Schumacher throwing everything at him. No DRS, no gimmicks, just raw skill and nerves of steel. Alonso held on, and it went down as one of the greatest tactical battles of V10 era.
2021, Hamilton's climb back. It was messy, wet conditions, a rare mistake, and Lewis Hamilton found himself stuck in the gravel with damage. But there was a red flag, and it gave him a lifeline. And what followed was a relentless charge through the field. He finished second, but it was an incredible recovery and a reminder of why he was one of the greats. I don't know, man. Ferrari slowly stripping that away from him. I'm feeling worse for him every race.
I think I get secondhand depression just watching him race, and then after the race, when people interview him, I used to feel that about Lando, but Lando's a child, and so I'm like, it's fine. You know what? You'll get over it. But with Lewis, he's around my age, so I feel it. Like your 30s depression is different than 20s depression. So I feel really bad for him. I don't know. Yeah, I feel really bad for him. Sorry. Yeah, it's really sad. But also I realized, why is the Imola track so wet all the time is what I'm thinking. Why is it raining? Is it always raining during this time over there? That's what I thought.
I guess it kind of is. I mean, it was so bad in 2023.
Oh, with the floods.
But The thing is though, 2024 was like an okayish race, right? Because there wasn't too much action. Like the last few moments were amazing because that was the beginning of Max versus Lando title fight, and he finished like so close to Max, right? So Max Verstappen took the win at Imola, but it wasn't one of those dominant cruise to the finish kind of races that he was used to in 2023. He started on pole, led from the start, yes, but by the end, Lando Norris had him absolutely sweating, right? Verstappen was on the radio complaining about the grip, about bouncing over the curbs, and that final stint looked very, very tense. Still, Max held his ground and he crossed the line just zero point 0.7 seconds ahead of Lando. So it was quite interesting for the Red Bull versus McLaren, beginning of that drama. On the other side of the garage for Red Bull, Checo Perez had some bit of a damage limitation kind of race. He started way back in 11th and he could only recover to P8. So Red Bull had tried the alternate strategy for him, so long first stint, but it didn't really pay off.
I remember this a little bit because I've also seen so many videos on it, and good times for McLaren, right?
Yeah.
Like they finally beat that.
Yes, they were just starting their good times.
Yeah, starting their good times. So McLaren continued their hot streak with that. Lando Norris came this close to pulling off back-to-back wins. Most of the race, he sat behind the Ferraris, but in the closing laps, he found serious pace and started hunting down Verstappen. It looked like he might actually do it one more lap, and who knows. He finished a second behind, showing once again that McLaren is no longer an underdog and they're contenders. Then my favorite driver, Oscar Piastri, was also fast all weekend too. He qualified ahead of Lando but got hit with a 3-place grid penalty for impeding. Still, he made good progress and finished a strong 4th.
The home crowd was loud for the Scuderia, and while they didn't get the win, they still had a reason to cheer. Charles Leclerc finally grabbed his first ever Imola podium, finishing 3rd after a clean, consistent race. He didn't quite have the pace to challenge Verstappen or Norris at the end, but it was a solid result. Carlos Sainz briefly led during the pit stop shuffle, but settled into 5th and stayed there for most of the race. It wasn't spectacular, but it was a batch of solid points for the constructor standings for Ferrari.
Mercedes had a pretty quiet but productive race, which in Mercedes terms means loser. Lewis Hamilton brought it home in 6th, which is, he wasn't happy. Like 6th is kind of like Lewis he's seen better days. He came 6th. George Russell finished 7th, though Russell pitted late to grab the fastest lap, so that's a bonus point in the bag. The team didn't really have the pace to trouble the front runners, but they maximized what they could on the day. Boo! Sorry.
But they're doing much better now.
Yeah,
And from what I hear from all the interviews that Toto has done, like, because everyone's been so impressed with young Kimi Antonelli just absolutely killing it. Toto has been saying that, yeah, these are all the tracks that he has never raced in before, like in F2 and F3 and stuff. Starting from Imola, there will be tracks that he knows and he's raced in. So just watch out.
Oh no.
So I'm very excited to see what he can do.
Me too.
Another person who kept exciting me through 2024, and which is what made me into a fan, and I don't know how he's going to do this year, but Yuki Tsunoda was very impressive last year. He started 7th and slipped back a little, but still finished 10th and picked up another point. Once again, he outperformed the car. Daniel Ricciardo had a less exciting afternoon. He crossed the line in 13th, and he was never really in the points conversation, and that was the beginning of the end for him.
Ouch. Yeah. Then, Mr. Wrong Place at the Wrong Time, Lance Stroll quietly had one of his best races that season. He started 13 and worked his way up to 9th with some solid overtakes and a clever strategy. Alonso, though, had a weekend to forget. He started from the pit lane after a rough qualifying and never really got going. He finished 19th. wow, totally out of the mix.
Yeah. Haas looked decent early on. Like Nico Hulkenberg started P10, but then faded slightly to finish 11th, just outside the points, which I'm not too mad about because Yuki was in P10, so it's fine. Kevin Magnussen had a better race than the quali suggested. He climbed from 18th to 12th, but again, it just wasn't enough. There was still no signs of a turnaround at Alpine, and they're going into this race also with a lot of drama. No team principal, no second driver. I don't know what is going on at Alpine, but last year Ocon and Gasly finished 14th and 16th, and the team was just off the pace all weekend. They brought updates, but those updates did not help them at all.
Then my favorite, like, how can you not like Bottas? Well, Bottas and Guan Yu finished 15th and 18th, both a lap down. There's not much else. Sauber's just not in the fight right now, and they won't be for a very long time. Williams' bad luck continued, which I think is for most of Drive to Survive. Like, I lost hope that Williams will ever see anything ever, forever.
I know.
Like, it's the child that you've lost all hope, and you're like, can you at least finish college? Like, can you do graduation? Like, can we please do graduation at least? Ke kuch, get something.
Yeah,
Get a job.
exactly.
Get anything. And I feel really bad because I've seen Williams now, and I don't know. It's like you know what happens in the future while you're watching Drive to Survive, and you're like,
Yeah.
if I could just tell you that it will be better, the team principal will change, and he's fantastic. I love him. He's the brother I should have. The cousin, not I have a great brother. But anyway, so William.
Yeah, you have a nice.
No, I have a great brother, but he's the cousin. He's the older cousin that I think I deserve.
Okay.
But yeah, so Williams, of course, had the worst luck. Logan Sargent finished 17th, and Alex Albon was forced to retire on lap 51 with a brake issue. Still 0 points on the board, and frustration was definitely building up.
So, but before the engine roars at Imola, the teams have a complex puzzle to figure out how to fine tune the machines for this old school circuit. Imola is a throwback to classic racing. It's a narrow, undulating track with a mix of high speed straights and technical corners. So the teams have to strike a delicate balance in their car setups. Aerodynamically, they aim for a configuration that provides a lot of downforce to handle those rapid direction changes in sections like Variante, Alta, Chicane. But at the same time, they have to minimize the drag to get the maximum speed on that long main straight. Suspension settings are equally critical because the circuit has a lot of very high curbs, and occasional bumps means that a slightly softer suspension setup is favored so that you maintain some stability and traction, especially through Aqua Minerale and Rivasa, because those curbs are so high. If you don't have perfectly balanced or softer suspension setup, they're going to hit that curb and the entire bottom is just going to come off.
Right. Coming to the tire choice at Imola, that's always a strategic conundrum. Historically, Imola leans towards a one-stop strategy due to the significant time loss in the pit lane, approximately 28 seconds, 2 lifetimes, and the difficulty of overtaking on this narrow track. Most teams plan to start on the medium tires, aiming to switch to the hards midway through the race. However, the potential for safety car periods, especially with the reintroduction of the gravel traps, increasing the likelihood of incident, meant that teams had to remain flexible. A well-timed safety car could prompt a switch to the softs for a sprint to the finish, adding an element of unpredictability to the strategy, which is Imola's way of saying, you don't know me. You don't know me.
Yeah. Also, like Pirelli is going a step softer in all of their tire allocations because they want the tires to degrade. Because if it's a one stop, honestly, this race is going to be like everyone's just going to manage their tires, right?
Yeah.
So if you want them to just burn up their tires and then switch over, you're going to have to go for softer tires. We'll see what happens on track.
Right.
And like you were saying, weather at Imola is notoriously fickle. Yes. The 2025 race weekend forecast includes mild temperatures around 22 degrees and a chance of rain, particularly on race day. Teams have to prepare for varying conditions, ensuring that their setups can handle both dry and wet scenarios. Now, I know I've said this before, but we went racing last year, and I will be honest, it was boring. I'm sorry. The F1 fans, petrol heads are going to come after me, but it really, really was. Ferrari usually brings upgrades to this, their home race. They will not do it. I don't understand why. If they do, and if they add more downforce to the rear, which is what Lewis has been complaining about, it'll be great for them. If they don't, then I don't know. I think the Tifosi are just going to be super disappointed. Red Bull already bought performance upgrades to Max's car in Miami. Maybe they'll put it for Yuki as well, and hopefully that will give him an additional push. Who do you think is going to be at the top?
Wow, I mean, after you mentioned Antonelli, I didn't even think about him at all. Did you just mention that? And now I'm kind of going back to Miami and thinking Lando Piastri, Max, and Antonelli. The same mix. The same mix. But the thing with George is, he's so sneaky.
Yeah.
He's so sneaky. He's that kid who you're like, did you study? And they'd be like, yeah, there are like 10 units, the 10 chapters coming, but I've like done just 6, I think, the more important one. And you're like, yeah, this guy's probably not even, he's gonna make it to first, like, he's gonna be like top 10 students.
Yeah.
And then somehow he's like third, and you're like, what happened to the other guy? What happened to your friend? And he's like, I don't know, man, I just read whatever I could and it just worked. It's so annoying. I find it so annoying.
It is very annoying.
So, wild card is George always. George is always my wild card.
Yes.
But these four, and I feel like I just want Williams to just get points because I don't think this season, definitely not. They're not gonna get any podiums. I know that, but I feel like points. They should just be in the tens, get some points. I think we won't see them getting. We'll go to the prediction later. But this season, yeah, points and my top four are the same as Miami actually.
Nice.
Minus George.
Okay. We shall see what happens at Imola, but I have the feeling that's the right mix. Lando, Oscar, Max, Antonelli somehow finding himself there.
Yeah, and of course we should let's dissect that name. The full title of the Imola race is okay. I'm going to offend many nationalities with this. Formula 1 AWS Gran Premio del Mate in Italy E del Emilia Romagna. Why can't we call it San Marino? It just rolls off your tongue. You sound cool saying that. This is who wants this. I mean, like by the time you're done finishing the name, you've offended 5,000 people, and
Correct.
The cars have already done a lap. Anyway, fans, as they should, fans online love to poke fun at it. One person joked that the race name has as many letters as there are laps.
Oh my god!
Someone else imagined Crofty calling the start with "It's light out and away we go for the Formula Weight race over." That's good. That's a good one. It feels less like a GP name and more like an opera type.
I swear.
That is true.
It's an insane name. Like, I understand wanting to make the sponsors happy, but like, come on, nobody's going to say that name. What is the point?
A sponsor's name never works. Like, we still joke about Manik Chand Film Festivals. Come on. Like, we don't need to do that. Like, anyway,
But
sorry.
there is a lot of like chatter on whether Imola will stay on the calendar long term because this is the last year of its contract. And if this one isn't amazing, well, F1 is expanding into a lot of new markets and they're looking for those big money, big glitz events. But for a lot of fans and the drivers, as you mentioned, Imola is sacred. So it's going to be interesting to see if they extend the contract for this particular track. Now, we alluded to this in the beginning, but I want to spend a little bit time talking about memes, right? Because
Yes.
memes are honestly a survival kit for new F1 fans. And I'm so glad that I get to talk to you about this, Anchita, because it's just, I can't believe someone can get into a sport through memes. But here you are, the living example.
I
And
know.
it makes sense because it teaches you stuff. It helps to like bring like people together and make you feel like you're part of a community, and it keeps you in the loop, right? Even if you have no idea what a diffuser is, you've seen the Braun GP memes and you know, oh, I know what it is. So, like, if you think about F1, there's like 75 years of drama, rivalries, rule change, technical jargon. If someone tried to Google everything to catch up, they would lose their minds. And that is why I think that memes might be the greatest F1 shortcut that has ever been invented. Like, how many people know about Charles Leclerc because of his countless memes, from just an incident to I am stupid, I am stupid. It's iconic, right? Because it's one moment of raw emotion that is turned into a million jokes. But that's the reason that people went, wait, who's that guy? Right? Because then suddenly you're watching Ferrari races, you're looking up his Monaco curse, and you have him as your screensaver.
I can't believe like I'm a legit. You know how they say in like marketing, it's converted
Yeah.
more a customer. There has been a conversion. It's true, but it's been through memes.
But do you remember the first F1 meme that you saw and you were like, oh my god, I get this sport now?
Okay, I really thought about it. I think it probably was one of the Ferrari memes with Sainz and Leclerc, and then people like they were just so buddy. No, oh no. It was the second. The first thing was the Lando stuff. That was
yes.
it was the it
my
was the
God.
Lando, look, no fish. That's what I was like. Who are these jokers? They seem
Yeah.
good looking and very
Oh my God.
talented.
Yes.
Yeah. Right? And then I think Instagram just knew that I had a friend who was into F1, and they're like, yes, why don't we send stuff through Anchita to Nisha, I guess. And but my favorite memes after that just became memes that, well, we will discuss the super hyper local memes,
yes.
right, which just have that, they have the voiceover is very Hindi, and it's so hilarious. You can connect to it because you kind of already either the voiceover, it's pretty iconic, or it's just language that you understand, and just white people speaking in Hindi with Bhojpuri accent. How can it not be hilarious? Come on.
It is
Like, we love white people speaking in our languages. It's so satisfying. I don't know, it's like, yes, speak my language anyway.
What is
But,
this reverse colonialism?
yeah, it's so funny. And with time, my famous memes are the ones that go really hard. Like, there's one with Max, a lot of Max memes. One with Max is clearly a montage of him doing a photo shoot, and he's just looking outside a window and looking up, and it's just like a really hardcore Punjabi song, and it just says that मैं ये छोटे मोटे qualification पे time नहीं waste करता, मैं सीधे race जीतता हूँ, and it works. It is, I believe it. Like,
Wait,
yes.
translation? That is, I don't waste time on small
Yeah.
qualifications.
Yeah.
I just go win races.
Yeah, and it works. Or there's one with Ricardo and him and their camaraderie and their brotherhood, and it's all like black and white and sepia tones and slow-mo videos, and it's the song from Sonu Ki Titu Ki, that song called Tera Yaar Hoon Main. And oh my, if it's that time of the month, I will share it here or two. I swear to God I will. And then just the Max emo memes where they put a Billie Eilish song and it's
Oh
just
my
about how troubled his
God.
childhood was.
Yes.
Like, it's like Max. It's like Max probably has gotten over his troubled childhood, but people have not. Like, people are
Yes.
like, no,
Yes.
no.
Everybody needs
You know?
therapy on behalf of Max.
Yeah, so those and they really go hard, and
Yeah,
they
they do.
don't half-ass it, and I absolutely love those memes. It's my favorite thing. Yeah, I love some compilation, but the the really the local ones, white people speaking a language is my favorite thing. So I really like those.
And the thing is, like, because we don't really have anything else here, right? There's
Yeah.
no, like, there's not merch, or there is, but it's like it's so expensive. This is the cheapest stuff that you can just binge.
Also, great way to sometimes you miss certain things in a race. It we don't realize because we're so invested. Sometimes, I mean, races are long, and you might miss out on certain moments, or it's because also there's so many things happening on that screen, but you miss out on that. But it's a great way to sort of refresh. They focus on one bit, and you're like, oh my god, did I miss this? And
Yeah.
I feel it's a great way. It's such a. I don't think anyone, I mean, the older generation will not identify with this, but it's such a millennial Gen Z thing to be like, yeah, I got into it because of memes.
Yeah, it really is. But also, you're right. Like this, there's so many things to keep track of. There's like 20 drivers, different team bosses, car upgrades, all of these things, the drama. And then plus, I also like to keep in touch with things that are happening on the F1 Academy part, F2, F3, who's coming up, right? It's impossible to sit and watch all the races just to get that information. Sometimes I just want the highlights, right? And the memes are
Agreed.
the perfect way to remember, like to find out what it is. It's faster than the official F1 alerts. It's funnier than all of the press conferences. And sometimes it's a lot more trustworthy, the kind of information that you get. In fact, I think that this is what has greatly contributed to people hating on MBS or Mohammed bin Salayem, who is the FIA president,
True.
because at the Miami Grand Prix, like they give out all these awards and stuff like that, right? For the podium people. When they called out MBS, because he gives this like medal, which is a new thing that the
Right.
FIA gives. Like normally
Right.
it's the FOM that provides the awards. The FIA provides those weird medal things that MBS has set up. When he came on stage to put the medal on Oscar Piastri, people booed loudly. Like I heard it and I was like, and I don't think people would have known about what a tyrant he is if not for the memes. But that is a wrap on the Imola Grand Prix. Before we sign off, I need to hear from Anchita. What is your boldest prediction for the 2025 season?
Can I get people back from the dead? Because that is a bold prediction. That's really bold. That's almost delusional. Like, people will think I have a mental issue.
Yeah.
Crazy. Oh my god, what is
Okay.
oh my god, what is Senna doing there? No, sorry. Very morbid. My boldest prediction was bold at the beginning of the season, with Oscar winning the championship. It's not bold anymore. Like, I think most people have kind of I know it's not gonna happen, but okay, you know what? Let's go bold. It's okay. You know what?
Yes.
It doesn't have to really happen. We don't have to make sense. But my boldest prediction, which will not happen, but my boldest prediction is William gets a podium. That's my boldest prediction.
It might. You never know.
That's what-
Because, see, last year, nobody thought Alpine was going to get podium.
That's true.
Right? And they did in Interlagos.
That's true.
So you never know. What if something happens, people ahead crash out, or someone just doesn't get the strategy right? The
true.
Williams does have decent straight line speed. You never know. Maybe in Monza.
Yeah.
Because Monza is just basically
That's
straights.
true. That's true.
Right?
Um,
You never know. Maybe they'll get a podium there.
Yeah. And I really wanted for Alex more than Sainz, just because I think Sainz has had a bunch of podiums, like generally throughout his career, and
Fine.
yeah, and also I didn't, very random. I didn't realize, but Science, he's got like the golden touch. Every team that he goes to, it starts doing well.
Yes.
And I didn't, again, memes. I didn't even think about it till I saw a meme, and then I actually saw DTS, and I'm like, yeah, McLaren started doing well, and then Ferrari, they had such a great run. It was
Yep.
both were doing so well. And then the fact that, and the other thing that I realized was Ricardo is like the whole butterfly effect of, if Ricardo didn't quit and didn't do his musical chairs, we
Yeah.
wouldn't have the current grid. And that's really fascinating. But my boldest prediction will be Williams gets podium, and my wish will be it should be Alex. If it has to be this season, it should be Alex. I would really want that for him. He's such a nice guy.
Nice. You've pissed off a lot of Carlos Sainz fans.
Yeah, yeah.
But
You know
that's-
what? Yeah, I'm ready to piss off a whole bunch of people. Bring it on. Bring it on.
But yeah, no, that'll be good. I think so. There's a possibility, and it'll be quite interesting and heartwarming to see. I would give it that for sure. And it's so funny that you say that about Carlos Sainz. So apparently his father, Carlos Sainz Senior, is now standing for elections for the new FIA president.
I know.
That Carlos Sainz mafia coming in very strong. I love it because
And-
his son is the director for
Yes.
the Grand Prix Drivers Association. Yeah.
Yes, that's
So-
interesting.
It'd be very, very cool to see if that happens. I feel like at this point, everyone, like initially, everyone was like, oh no, when Susie Wolf was rumored to be standing for the elections, everyone was like, oh, but that's not fair because her husband is a team principal, Toto Wolff for Mercedes. So there'll be a
Right.
conflict of interest, blah, blah, blah. But then, like, Carlos Sainz said it, and everyone's come to a point where they're like, we will take anyone.
But
Anyone. Not
That's true.
MPS, just anyone, please. So
yeah.
I'll be quite excited to see Carlos Sainz Senior, a very recent 63-year-old Dakar Rally winner who genuinely loves motorsport and is very good at it, being an FIA president. I think it'll be good. It'll be good for the sport.
Yeah, it'll be good to get some goodwill back in, for
Exactly.
FIA, which is required because everybody hates on the. I mean,
They really do.
for fair
They really
reason,
do.
but also fans just hate because, well, they hate the FIA too. So yeah, it'll be nice, and it's also a familiar face. I mean, DTS has done wonders for everybody, but still, it's a familiar face. We know.
Yes.
I know who he is,
Yeah.
and I'm literally like I'm a toddler when it comes to like fandom. So it'll be great
Yeah.
actually.
It'll be quite fun. So the next week we are going to be discussing the crown jewel of F1, the legendary Monaco Grand Prix. If you're not aware of this race, I urge you to go watch Iron Man 2, because that is when Tony Stark defies the laws of physics and any laws made by the FIA to step in for a trained driver and doesn't break his neck. So that's going to be for next week. May not be me doing the episode because, as I mentioned, I am traveling, but we will figure that one out. To our amazing listeners, what do you think? Drop your hot takes in the comments, send us a message, or tag us in your wildest predictions. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and share F101 with friends, because this community is just getting started. If you have any queries or you want to be a friend on the pod, please reach out to me on Instagram. The link is in the description. Special shout out to Ashwati and Kevin who support the podcast and also my mental health. Thank you, Anchita. I have been your host, Nisha, and I will see you on the next episode of F101 with Friends.
Bye.